Hello lovely horse people! I'm Carolina, a passionate horse girl since my early childhood. What really fills us with enthusiasm here at Mindful Horse is to feel, to observe and to experience together with horses. And we really want to inspire you for that way of communication with animals.
Hello, Nina, and thank you for being here so we can have this conversation. It is very interesting, especially what I got to know from your work with horses. I'm now looking forward to our conversation. At the very beginning, for all people who don't know you, can you introduce yourself in a few sentences? Who you are and what you do with your horses?
Hello, Caro. I'm very happy that I can be here, and I've already taken a look on your site, and I think we are very much on the same level, and that's why I'm totally happy to be here today and look forward to the conversation. In a few sentences, what am I? What do I do? Or who am I? So I started a few years ago with physiotherapy and osteopathy, and horses accompany me since I am 6 years old. Somehow both areas have become more and more complementary. So mainly I help women find their way to themselves with their horses. I think that's the base of everything. Following your heart, following your intuition. That's what drives me. Because I have noticed that many women contact me, they would like to go a different way with their horse, a more harmonious way, a more peaceful way. But they encounter a lot of conflicts in their environment. They write me that it is not possible. Things like, I can't do that, but something in my heart says, but it is my call. And so it runs through women's lives. They don't go their way in their normal life and neither with their horses. And since I have walked down this road myself and have wandered around so much and watched for different trainers, it is now this what I have made to my business to find all the nice ways to communicate with horses in a more non-violent way and still be friends with them. I have made this my task, and I have found that the path always goes via personal development, via the person itself. When we are working on ourselves, the horse changes, and therefore, in one sentence, I make sure that everyone follows their heart again.
Beautiful. Here comes the next question up. You probably trained normally in a conventional way with your horse in the past, where you say do this and the horse has to do it. And I would like to go back to the point where that has changed for you, where you said I can't and I don't want to do this anymore, and how you simply chose another way for yourself. What happened and what happened to your horses that you changed your perspective on the whole thing?
Yes, it was a really exciting trip. I actually wanted to go to tournaments. I had normal Western trainers, very hard training actually. Nothing beautiful, and I did it because everyone did it that way. And then I stopped because I realized that somehow it contradicted me. I cannot ram my spurs into the side so that the horse does exactly what I want. And then I stopped completely for a year and had nothing to do with horses and decided that if that was the only way, then I don't want to do anything with horses anymore. And if there was something else, I would start again. I didn't have one of my own at that time. I had many riding participations and I was very much in demand for it because I was good at it. In retrospect, it turned out that some people think I can't do it, and I could if I wanted to, but I decided against it. And then I started with horsemanship in Parelli and thought to myself, okay, that's nice, that's fair to say no. That's not what I want either, because it didn't offer that much freedom of choice. Then I went on to Karen Vesnick and worked out everything freely. And still I came back to the point that, okay, but there is still dominance. It is also not what I want. And so it went on, and who really made me aware that I had to look for something completely different was my horse Kahir. I got him when he was 7 months old. And yes, that's another thing. I would have liked to leave him longer with his mother if the mother hadn't been sold from the 5th month on. But that's a completely different subject. And we did a lot of things, and it was a lot of fun. We were out a lot, and at some point I wanted things that he didn't want. And not that he didn't do them, but I saw an expression in his eyes. He's changing. He's not having the fun that I have. And that was the first realization with all the effort. Something is going wrong here. So either I can make my horse do what I want, and as much as I like it, or I can't. And then I started clicker training, because everyone could do it by clicker training. Because I am not worth that much myself. Maybe it goes over food, which replaces my value. That was then the first step. And yes, that didn't satisfy me either, because there was always the treat in between. And I thought, well, what would he do with all that gone? What would be? Would he still like to do it then, or would he give me the finger? And then I threw it all away. I didn't use a riding crop, I didn't use any treats, I didn't use anything anymore. I just thought, what do I need in me, in myself? What do I need to change that my horse shows interest in me at all? And how can I be peaceful when our opinions don't exactly go conform? That was my journey in a nutshell.
That is a journey I understand and went through very similarly. I also come from the Western sport and tried a lot until I realized that it doesn't work for me in that way. I can understand everything you said very well. I'm interested in that matter because I have the feeling that a lot of people cannot imagine what people are doing with their horses when they talk about a peaceful communication. They believe that they just watch the horse grazing in the meadow and just pet them. So what are you doing specifically with your horses now? What does everyday life look like with your horses? How do you live at the present time where you have invested in your relationship for several years? What does your relationship look like today?
Yes, the exciting thing is that it really looks a lot like you described. So you really spend a lot of time doing nothing, doing apparently nothing.
Exactly. But what happens behind doing nothing for you? So what happens behind those things?
So I would like to tell you two examples. Once from a recent experience I had with Tuck. Even though I'm not really into riding right now or normal riding, but also not against it if the connection fits. Nevertheless, I simply had this thought for a long time. I would like to sit on my horse's back again. So it was like that at that moment, I don't use a halter, I don't use anything. Either the moment fits or it doesn't fit. And inside me there was this longing of it would be really nice now. And the intention behind it was more like taking, like the I need something mode. And I saw this is not how it works right now. And I thought, okay, then not today. But then I switched into a mode of feeling, of giving, and just asked myself the question, what can I do for you? What can I give? How I can be there for you? Everything changed, everything in me changed. The energy became wide and it didn't even last a minute. I cuddled them and was just there and had already thrown the one thought out of my head. Then Tuck positioned himself to the hay rack so that I could climb up. And we kept on doing exactly the same thing. We kept on cuddling and cuddling and cuddling and so on. The state of doing nothing. What happens is that you just have to get fully involved in the present moment and that it feels different. Then I had a thought. We could now take a few steps. I sat down for a moment and breathed out and thought, well, maybe it'll work out. And it worked. He didn't go to the grass, he didn't go to the hay. It was actually just a thought that flowed and that signaled him, yes, it feels good. No, it doesn't feel so good. He had the opportunity to say no. We don't do that. And if this inner work is done before, everything that comes after is so simple, so easy, so smooth when there are no disagreements. And that is another area. If I go into the open country, I am outside and something could happen. I might have to switch my level where I say stop. That is not possible. And on the other hand, if I sit on the horse's back and he has no other chance to move away because I'm on his back, what does he want to do? So it's up to me to see what he wants and what he doesn't want. What we can, what we can't. And he can always say no. And the important thing about all the work, no matter you do, is that you always feel where the horse is standing. I have two different characters. Kahil, who loves to go outdoors, he loves the open country, and he just loves to be. When we are on the paddock, there's really only silence, so he's more the earth part. Tak is completely different. He gallops around and demands you to animate him. Like, we can do something now. Can we play? And he gets bigger and bigger. You can really ask him just because he simply wants to play with you, to dance with you. You call him and open your heart, and he comes galloping and stops right in front of your chest. He has also learned to circle around you, but it is not unwillingly. He just wants to. You can't win him over with treats either. He's still gone when he doesn't feel like it. And that also works with strangers. So I have also experienced this in courses. He just does things when he feels like it, but only when this inner work is done and when everybody notices what is going on. People run with him and he runs with them, and there comes a thought of, wow, he does that, but actually I am not worth it. Why does he do that? It doesn't take a second. The horse turns and runs at a gallop to the other end of the pasture, and I say, what were you thinking? And something like this usually comes out. And this is the work that fascinates me in my passion. And once you have discovered this for yourself, it doesn't really matter what I do. Whether I click, whether I do horsemanship, or whatever I watch the horse, because I will then have a feeling for what is there and what is not there, or do I take another path? Basically, you always use conditioning, even if there are such moments, even if they are so heart open and out of the moment. Nevertheless, emotions flow. Positive emotions strengthen positive actions. So even when you work in this area, you cannot exclude yourself from being conditioned in any way, no matter how pure the heart is.
Thank you very much. I think it is now much more obvious for a lot of people what is happening. And I think that something has to be emphasized here again, that all these methods and what is out there on the market, like clicker training or Parelli or whatever, in itself is not bad, but that the inner work should be the basis, and you will notice if you did the work at the base. Then I will notice what is right for me and my horse today, which easily gets through in the communication. I know that for myself. I don't actually work with treats at all, but then I also notice at certain moments that giving a treat is correct because my horse is happy about it and doesn't do it for the treat, but is only a positive confirmation of what has already happened inside.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and speaking of peaceful communication now, what are two essential things that definitely have to be there for you so that you can say, that means peaceful communication for me?
Peaceful communication, it means for me that you can communicate with the other person, no matter if it is a horse or a child, because I actually learned a lot from the children, what I then could transfer to the horse. That I consider the other one as an equal means he has the same dignity, the same rights as I have to say yes to everything and no to everything. This is the absolute foundation for me. And on this foundation, it can still be that you have to make a decision that neither of you like. and which may not be peaceful because it maintains boundaries. But that's why, for me, one of the things that is the absolute basis is that I act from this attitude, no matter what happens next. That one should always reflect the basic attitude, in my opinion. Is there a second one? I believe everything. There's nothing else that is peaceful for me. It is not something specific, but it's really the attitude. Because I can give you a treat and I can have an attitude that is totally fucked up. Because I don't see you, because I don't treat you on an equal level. When I think I'm human and only I can teach you something and completely ignore that you can teach me something as well. For me, everything that is connected with peaceful communication is not what is revealed, but what the feeling between the two is.
Yes, very, very beautiful. Do you have anything else that is close to your heart? Something that you want to share?
For me, the most important thing about all this is that everyone knows exactly what is good for them. That everyone, no matter in what moment they act, knows exactly what their path looks like. And just like you said, there are so many trainers, so many methods, and everybody has the non plus ultra. And they come and say what you have to do with your horse, and that is then halfway implemented and never continued because it is not in accordance with the heart. Not the heart of the human and not the heart of the horse. The two always know their way together, and you can't judge that from the outside. And I think it would bring much more peace if everyone would always really check, is that what someone is talking about in tune with my heart and in tune with my horse? Is the energy right? Is the statement behind it right? If you pay attention to this, you are much closer to yourself, much closer to your horse, and you don't need anybody. It is always nice to have input from outside, but theoretically, you have everything inside of you and can find the way. That was important to me to point out again.
Now to the last question. Imagine that there are no training methods at all. No one who knows how to work with horses except from you. You have your experience, you have accumulated your knowledge, but there is no one else out there with knowledge around horses. All the training methods don't exist yet. Now, what are 3 things you want to share with the world, with people who want to build a peaceful communication with their horse, when they would believe you everything because you are the only one with knowledge?
Then I would tell or advise you to get in touch with your heart first, to feel yourself into your body, to feel what is going on, to connect with your heart, and then to connect with the heart of the horse, so that an exchange takes place. And then to act in that exchange, because basically it doesn't need more. The second would be to have a clear focus. Where do I want to go? To really communicate mentally in my thoughts, and above all to be clearly there myself. That is where I want to come out. Because what often happens is that you have the idea that the horse should trot, but how fast should it trot? Where should it trot to? And with what energy? With what attitude? We usually have no idea what we really want. The third would be reward the small steps, to pat oneself and the horse on the shoulder about every single small step in a positive direction, to keep the focus on it and not on what might not work yet. Just reduce this pressure of expectation on the horse and yourself. Play like a child again and see what comes out in the end, because every moment has its own special energy.
Thank you very much for this interview. I'm excited to see what will happen when people come more and more into their hearts.
Yes, I am also curious about that, and it's such a joy to accompany this. I sometimes have tears in my eyes because I find it so beautiful, because they simply learn to trust in their hearts. There's no longer the horse bites the rope, I have to correct, but it is an oh, the horse bites the rope, let's see what it actually means. And then the horse is deeply relaxed and the person has worked on himself, and suddenly, for the first time in years, the biting into the rope is gone. And so much is possible. I am also curious to see where we will all end up, and I'm totally happy that there will be this exchange and this deeper connection to our animals.
Thank you for this nice conversation, for everything you do for the horse world and for the people. That is incredibly valuable for everyone, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this conversation and for sharing all this with your community and with a lot of people, because it opens so much on so many levels.